Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sudhir K. Today I will be discussing on the topic prerequisites to linear algebra. Actually, what is linear algebra? Linear algebra may be an unfamiliar term to you, but it involves the study of matrices, systems of linear equations, determinants, their geometrical aspects, etc. And all these are known to you to some extent, and you have studied it in the lower classes. So when you make a detailed geometrical study of the theory of matrices, theory of linear equations, theory of determinants, the geometrical effect of matrix multiplication, addition, etc., what you get is linear algebra. Now, let us start with a simple question. Consider the matrix A, which is a 2 by 2 matrix with all entries 1. A equal to 1, 1, 1, 1. The question is, how many matrices B exist with the condition AB equal to A equal to BA? You have choices: none, only one, finitely many, infinitely many. See, look at the requirement. You want the matrix B to satisfy the condition AB equal to A equal to BA. So, to the matrix A, you are multiplying on the right side with B, and again to the matrix A, you are multiplying on the left side with the matrix B. So, you know the rule on the order of matrices when they are to be multiplied. So with that, you can guess the matrix B is of order 2 by 2, or B must be a 2 by 2 square matrix. An immediate answer coming to your mind will be the identity matrix, because identity matrix always does that job. B equal to 1001 will be an immediate choice. Now the question is it the only choice? So you have to try with other matrices than the identity matrix also. So if you write B to be a matrix A, B, C, D, you actually write the equations AB equal to A, and that will give you 1, 1, 1, 1 matrix times the matrix A, B, C, D equal to 1, 1, 1, 1. And that will give you two equations A plus C equal to 1 and B plus D equal to 1. Similarly, if you write the equation A equal to BA, that is 1, 1, 1, 1 equal to ABCD into 1, 1, 1, 1, and that will give you two more equations A plus B equal to 1 and C plus D equal to 1. Now, altogether you have four equations using the unknowns A, B, C and D. If you keep some value for A, from this you will get B equal to 1 minus A. So A plus B equal to 1 will give you B equal to 1 minus A. A plus C equal to 1 will give you C equal to 1 minus A. And D has no other choice, D equal to A. So for each real number A, we get B equal to A 1 minus A 1 minus A to be the choice, making the equations AB equal to A and A equal to B satisfied, or the required condition AB equal to A equal to BA will be satisfied for this type of matrices. Now, what are the specialities of this matrix? One thing is clear, it is a symmetric matrix because first row and first column are same, second row and second column are same, So it's a symmetric matrix. And more than that, what is sum of entries of the first column? That is 1. Sum of entries of the second column? That is 1. Sum of entries of the first row, sum of entries of second row, all are 1. So the row entries and column entries all are 1. A symmetric matrix is B. So B, one choice of A is 1 by 2. You can take B equal to 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2, 1 by 2. Try with other values also. So what you found is for A equal to 1, 1, 1, 1, there will be infinitely many matrices B satisfying AB equal to A equal to BA. Now, let us try with a three-dimensional matrix A of the same type. A equal to the 3 by 3 matrix with 1 as the entries. How many matrices B exist with AB equal to A equal to BA? None, only one, finitely many, infinitely many. With your previous experience, you get or you guess infinitely many as the answer. And that is the correct guess. And as before, we can write B to be the general matrix A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. You will get equations. And the same type of observations you can have here also. The matrix B must be a symmetric matrix with sum of entries of any row or any column to be 1. Now, because there are 3 elements in each row and each column, 3 numbers having a sum equal to 1 can be chosen infinitely many ways. So, the answer to the question will be D, infinitely many. Specific values can be taken. B equal to 0 0.1, 0 0.3, 0 0.6, 0 0.3, 0 0.5, 0 0.2, 0 0.6, 0 0.2, 0.2. This is a symmetric matrix. You can check. First row and first column are same. Second row and second column are same. Third row and third column are same. And the row entries all and column entries all have sum equal to 1. So that will satisfy the equation AB equal to A equal to BA. And another choice is B equal to the matrix with all entries 1 by 3. That of course is symmetric, and the other condition sum and row sum and column sum are 1 will be satisfied. So that matrix also will satisfy the condition AB equal to A equal to BA. Now we will ask the question in a different style. In the set of 3 by 3 matrices of the form AAA, that means all entries are equal where A is a real number. Is it possible to find an additive identity? Is it possible to find a multiplicative identity? And are these identities uniquely determined? What do you mean by an additive identity and multiplicative identity? You know, matrix addition is commutative, so it doesn't matter whether you add a matrix on the right side or left side. So addition of a new matrix should not make any change to this matrix. Of course, all entries are 0 will make a new matrix 3 by 3 matrix in this set, and that will give you the additive identity. And multiplicative identity, you have seen all entries 1 by 3. That will be the multiplicative identity, and that is the only multiplicative identity in this set. And that matrix all entries 1 by 3 belongs to this set also. So our question is answered completely. Only the matrix with all entries 0 will be the identity, and multiplicative identity will be that matrix with all entries 1 by 3. So these will exist and they will be uniquely existing. Now let us go to a system of linear equations. So we have studied the method of solving a system of linear equations using matrices. And the simplest case will be if the number of equations and number of variables are equal. And we consider in this discussion matrices or systems involving 2 variables or 3 variables only. Because you want to work in the real plane or in the real three-dimensional space. The dimensional, etc. It's a new term and we will come to it later. Consider the two linear equations a1x plus b1y equal to c1, a2x plus b2y equal to c2. This set of equations can be written in the matrix form as ax is equal to b, where capital A is the matrix a1 b1 a2 b2, capital X is the matrix column matrix xy, and capital B is the column matrix c1 c2. Even if you have three equations in three variables, a1x plus b1y plus c1z equal to d1, a2x plus b2y plus c2z equal to d2, a3x plus b3y plus c3z equal to d3, that also can be written in the same form, but now A will be the 3 by 3 matrix, X will be the 3 by 1 column matrix, and B will be the 3 by 1 column matrix. These have geometrical significance. Here, the matrix A of the coefficients is A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, C2, A3, B3, C3, and X equal to the column matrix XYZ is the matrix of variables, and B equal to the column matrix D1, D2, D3 is the matrix of constants. We have the theory of equations and the corresponding theory in the matrix format. If the matrix B equal to 0, the pair as the system Ax is equal to 0 is called a homogeneous system. If B is a non-zero column matrix, then Ax is equal to B is said to be a non-homogeneous system. A linear equation of the form Ax plus By equal to C is a straight line in the geometrical sense. So, solving the system of linear equations means finding the point of intersection of the two straight lines a1x plus b1y equal to c1 and a2x plus b2y equal to c2. So on the plane, if you draw two straight lines, there are three possible cases. Either the two straight lines will intersect and that intersection will be exactly at one point. Sometimes the two straight lines may coincide. So you can have infinitely many common points. And sometimes the two straight lines will be parallel, and in that case there are no common points. Having common points means you have solution for the equations. Having no common points means you don't have solutions. So if the system is homogeneous, the problem reduces to finding points of intersection of two straight lines passing through the origin. Because both the straight lines contain origin as a point because they pass through the origin, x equal to 0 and y equal to 0 will be always a solution. If the two straight lines have different slopes, that will be the only solution, and if the two straight lines have equal slopes, there will be infinitely many solutions. And the condition for the two straight lines to have different slopes will be, again we have studied this in coordinate geometry, a1 by b1 not equal to a2 by b2, and that can be otherwise written in the form a1 b2 minus a2 b1 not equal to 0, and this is equivalent to writing determinant of a not equal to 0. If the two straight lines coincide, there are points other than origin also satisfying the given system of equations. So in that case, we say they are non-zero. There are non-zero solutions. The condition for this is the slopes are equal. For that, the algebraic condition is a1 by b1 equal to a2 by b2, and that can be written in the form a1 b2 minus a2 b1 equal to 0, or it means determinant of a equal to 0. If the system is non-homogeneous, then the problem reduces to finding the point of intersection of the two straight lines, which may be a point other than the originals. Clearly, there will be exactly one point of intersection if the two straight lines have different slopes. As an example, consider the pair of equations x minus 2y equal to minus 1 minus x plus 3y equal to 3. So when you draw the graph of these two, you get they intersect at one point, and if you draw the graph properly, you can get the point of intersection to be having x coordinate equal to 3 and y coordinate equal to 2. So x equal to 3 and y equal to 2 is the solution. That is 3, 2 is the actual point of intersection of the two lines. So solving a pair of linear equations means in two variables means you are finding the point of intersection of the two straight lines drawn on the real plane. Now we check some other facts also. What is the determinant of the coefficient matrix? The coefficient matrix is 1 minus 2 minus 1 3 because the equations are 1 minus 2 minus 1 and 3, and that is determinant is not 1 equal to 1, and that is non-zero. It can happen that the non-homogeneous system to have infinitely many solutions. So for that we consider the pair of equations x minus 2y equal to minus 1 minus x plus 2y equal to 1. These two equations represent two straight lines that are coincident, and because the two equations are representing the same straight line, there are infinitely many points common to both, and so there are infinitely many solutions for this system of linear equations. Here the determinant of the coefficient matrix is 0. And one more calculation we will make. What is adjoint of the matrix A? Adjoint you can calculate, that you know already. Adjoint of this matrix will be 2, 2, 1, 1. And adjoint A multiplied by the matrix B. Adjoint A times B will be 2, 2, 1, 1 minus, into minus 1, 1, and that will become 0. So we get the conditions determinant A equal to 0, adjoint A into B, that also is 0. So in that case, with this example, you have seen that the pair represents geometrically coincident straight lines or have infinitely many solutions. Now, let us check another example. The linear equations x minus 2y equal to minus 1 minus x plus 2y equal to 3. When you draw the graphs, you can see the two represents parallel lines, and because the lines are parallel, you cannot have any common points, so there are no solutions, and we make the calculations of determinant A and adjoint A into B. Here we find determinant A equal to 0, the same is the determinant as in the previous case, and adjoint A into B you can calculate to be 0, 2. That means adjoint A into B is different from 0. So let us compile all these facts. You get what? If a pair of linear equations in two variables, you see you have considered the two variables, then determinant A not equal to 0 will represent a unique solution. Determinant A equal to 0 and adjoint AB equal to 0 represents infinitely many solutions and coincident lines, and determinant A equal to 0, adjoint A into B not equal to 0 represents parallel lines and no solutions. Now, if you have a linear equation in three variables, it is of the form ax plus by plus cz plus d equal to 0, and that represents a plane in the three-dimensional space. So solving a system of equations of the form a1x plus b1y plus c1z equal to d1, a2x plus b2y plus c2z equal to d2, a3x plus b3y plus c3z equal to d3 reduces to finding the point of intersection or points of intersection of the planes given by these equations. If a number of equations, if the number of equations and number of variables are equal, and if A is an invertible matrix, then the solution of the system Ax is equal to B is given by x equal to A inverse B. We will combine the different equations. In the homogeneous system, if the coefficient matrix is invertible, that means determinant A is not equal to 0, the system has got only 0 solution, there is a unique solution, or you get the system to be consistent. If the determinant A is equal to 0, that means A is not invertible, then the system has non-zero solutions also, that means it is consistent and has got infinitely many solutions. So the essence of the table is a homogeneous system is always consistent. A non-homogeneous system is not always consistent. If Ax is equal to B is considered, then A is invertible means x equal to A inverse B will give you the unique solution and the system is consistent. If A is not invertible, that means determinant A equal to 0 and adjoint A into B equal to 0, the system is consistent and has got infinitely many solutions. If determinant A equal to 0, that means A is not invertible, and adjoint A into B not equal to 0, the system does not have any solutions or it is not consistent, inconsistent. So if you try to draw the graphs of these linear equations, it's not very simple to draw the graphs of the equations because they are planes on the three-dimensional space. So x minus 2y plus z equal to 0, 2y minus 8z equal to 8, minus 4x plus 5y plus 9z equal to minus 9. So when I ask you to draw the graphs of the three planes, you just imagine the floor and the two walls which meet at one corner of your room. They are three planes, mutually perpendicular planes, and they meet at exactly one point, the corner point that you look at in your room. Okay. So if you make the graph of these equations, you will get the graph to be three different planes and three different planes meeting at exactly one point, and you can calculate that point to be having x coordinate equal to 29, y coordinate equal to 16, z coordinate equal to 3. And it is easy to check that determinant A is not equal to 0. And in the earlier discussion, if determinant A not equal to 0, that means A is invertible, system has only one solution, and that one solution you are getting in this way: x equal to 29, y equal to 16, and z equal to 3. So solving linear equations in the two-dimensional or three-dimensional cases, that means with two variables or three variables, is nothing but finding the point of intersection of straight lines or point of intersection or points of intersection of planes. If three planes intersect along a straight line, and that also you can have. So you take 3 pages of your notebook or textbook. You can imagine them to be three planes intersecting along the straight line, along the line through which the binding of the book is found. Okay. So if the three planes intersect along a straight line, then the system is consistent and has infinitely many solutions. In this case, the corresponding conditions can be written as determinant A equal to 0 and adjoint A into B equal to 0. Now, if the three planes do not intersect, any common, they don't have any common point, then you can have the corresponding condition to be determinant A equal to 0 and adjoint A into B not equal to 0. Now, let us have a word about the matrix multiplication. If A is an m by n matrix, so general element I am writing as Aij, I varies from 1 to m and j varies from 1 to n, and B equal to Bjk is an n by p matrix and j varies from 1 to n and k varies from 1 to p are two matrices, then the product AB equal to another matrix which is of order m by p. You know, a product of m by n and n by p matrix will be an m by p matrix, and the general element of that C product Cik can be written in this form: summation j equal to 1 to n Aij Bjk. So I'll make a detailed expression of these matrices. Suppose A equal to A11, A12, etc. A1n, A21, A22, etc. A2n, Aj1, Ai2, etc. Ain, etc. Am1, Am2, etc. Amn. There are m rows 1, 2, 3, etc. m, and there are n columns A11. The second entries, second indices are representing the column positions. So it's an m by n matrix, and the ith row I am marking in red letters. And the other matrix B, it's B11, B12, etc. B1p, and like that Bnp. The jth column I am marking in red letters. It's an n by p matrix. So in order to find the matrix product AB, you are using entries of the ith row and jth column. So Ai1 into B1j plus Ai2 into B2j plus etc. etc. Ain into Bnj. So for that product to be found comfortably, the number of elements in the red color row should be equal to the number of elements in the red color column of the matrix B. Okay, so that means the number of elements in a row, that is the number of columns. Number of columns of the matrix A should be equal to number of elements in a column, means that will be the number of elements of the row in the matrix. So number of rows in the matrix B. So that is the meaning of the order when product of two matrices are found. So the matrix multiplication A times B equal to C will be meaningful if A is an m by n matrix and B is an n by p matrix, so that C is an m by p matrix. That is, number of columns of the first matrix should be equal to number of rows of the second matrix. If you follow the number of entries in the red color ith row and the red color jth column of the matrix B, you will find this very clear. Now, the actual relationship between geometry of matrices and the points on the real plane or three-dimensional space, etc. are to be discussed now. Any point in the two-dimensional real plane can be considered as a column matrix of order 2 by 1. Or you call such a matrix to be a column vector. Similarly, in the three-dimensional real space, any point will be represented by a column matrix of the order 3 by 1. You call it a column vector. Even row vector can be used. 1 by 2 or 1 by 3 matrices can be used to represent, but it's comfortable to follow the column matrix or column vector. For a 2 by 2 matrix A and a 2 by 1 matrix X, the matrix product AX is a 2 by 1 matrix, and that we have seen in writing the linear equations in the matrix form AX is equal to B. And for a 3 by 3 matrix A, and a 3 by 1 matrix X, the matrix product AX is a 3 by 1 matrix. In case we find XA, there is a slight change in the matrix representation of points. For 2 by 2 matrix A, X must be a 1 by 2 row matrix or row vector. Similarly, in the 3-dimensional case, X must be a 1 by 3 row matrix or row vector. So we prefer the pattern AX, and so X is taken as a column matrix. Let us look at the set of all points on a plane, or equivalently, the set of all column matrices of order 2 by 1. Similarly, the set of all points in the 3-dimensional real space, or equivalently the set of all column matrices of order 3 by 1. See, I am taking these two parallel because these two sets have same properties, so they can be considered parallel. What do the matrix addition and scalar multiplication of matrices indicate? In other words, what's the meaning of vector addition and scalar multiplication? Because we are using column matrix, column vector for the same object, these two terms, that means matrix addition, matrix scalar multiplication of matrices, and vector addition, scalar multiplication, geometrically represent the same. We have to get the analogous process on the set of all points in the real plane or in the 3-dimensional real space. For this, what are the needful concepts? So we need some geometrical ideas for this. Coordinate-wise addition and scalar multiplication are the way out. Means what? When we do this, how can we look at the real plane and the 3-dimensional space? The term 3-dimensional needs a little explanation. We will do it later. So when we make it, we consider X to be, the set X to be either R2 or R3. For 2 points xy in the set X and alpha beta in the real set of real numbers, the following can be observed. X plus y is a member of the same set X. Alpha X is a member of X. Alpha times X plus y, the scalar multiplication alpha and X plus y, that will be satisfying the equation alpha X into X plus y equal to alpha X plus alpha y, that belongs to X. Alpha plus beta times X equal to alpha X plus beta X, and that also is an X. 0 element of X is the pair 0, 0, and it is a special point we call the 0 vector. And this equation should be very carefully considered. 0 into X, 0 times X, the scalar multiplication of the number 0 and the vector X, equal to 0. Here, the first 0, that in red color, is in the set of real numbers, and the second 0, that is in green color, is in the set of vectors or X set X. Now we will go to the definition of a vector space or a linear space. Let X be a non-empty set and F be a field. So this term is new to you. Field means a non-empty set in which at least 2 elements should be there. There are 2 binary operations. You call the binary operations to be addition and multiplication. With respect to addition and with respect to multiplication, you should have certain properties. The properties are, with respect to addition, the set becomes a group. With respect to multiplication also, the set becomes a group. So, such a algebraic structure you call a field. X is a vector space over the field F if the following are satisfied. If there is a binary operation plus on X and a scalar multiplication between elements of F and X satisfying X plus is an abelian group, commutative group. The scalar multiplication possesses distributive properties. Alpha into x plus y equal to alpha x plus beta y, sorry, alpha x plus alpha y element of x, and alpha plus beta times x equal to alpha x plus beta x, and that also is in x. So if these conditions are satisfied, you say x is a vector space over the field F. Now, how do we interpret x plus y geometrically when you have x equal to R2 or x equal to R3? Imagine x is a point AB and y is the point CD. So you have used the words column matrix, column vector, etc. So the point AB can as well be considered as a vector, and point CD can be considered as a vector. So you have the parallelogram law of vector addition, and with that the sum, vector sum x plus y can be visualized. We will see this. The vector u you take as OA. O is the origin and A is the end point of this vector. And vector V is OB. O is the origin. B is the end point of this vector. So again, this point will be denoted as C. So OACB, you get a parallelogram. So in this parallelogram OACB, O00 is the origin, AB is the point X, and OA will represent the vector U, and that vector is the position vector of the point represented by small x. And BCD is the point Y, and that is OB is the position vector representing the point Y. Now if these are three vertices, then the fourth vertex C is the pair A plus C, B plus D, which represents the vector sum x plus y in the vector space. So in the plane, the set of points form a vector space. The 2 points 1, 0 and 0, 1 are of particular importance. These are called the standard basis vectors. In the language of vectors, these are the unit vectors I and j, and you know the power of the vectors I and j in the theory of vectors. Any vector on the plane can be written using I and j. If any vector r, you write r equal to, if r is a vector, r has initial point origin and end point a point xy, then the point xy can be written as a vector in the form xi plus yj. So ij are able to define or may produce any point on the two-dimensional plane. Any point xy on the plane can be written as xy equal to x times 1 0 plus y times 1 0, and you call this to be a linear combination of 1 0 and 0 1. So the essence is all vectors are written as linear combination of the basis vectors. For a vector space, is it possible to find more than one set of basis vectors? So we will check it. In R2, we know 1 0 and 0 1 are two basis vectors. You can check 1 2 and 2 3 also form a basis. So for this, a little more theory is needed, but we will make a fast excursion through the relevant areas. How can we understand the 2 points A, B and C, D will form a basis or not? For that, we make a check. We find the determinant of the matrix A, B, C, D. So if the determinant is non-zero, they will form a basis. Otherwise, they will not form a basis. So when you have the basis vectors, Write the coordinates of the basis vectors to form a matrix. If determinant of that matrix is non-zero, the vectors will form a basis, and if the determinant is 0, the vectors will not form a basis. If two vectors or points A, B and C, D form a basis, then we say that the two vectors are linearly independent. Again, a new term, linearly independent. Geometrically, this means that the line joining the origin and one point and that joining origin and the other point are having different slopes. So they are independent straight lines. They are not part of the same straight line. In a vector space, the number of basis vectors required is known as dimension of the vector space. And in that sense, we say R3 is of dimension 3 because in R3 we need 3 basis vectors. So in the language of vectors, the 3 basis vectors are I, J and K, the standard unit vectors I, J and K. And in R2, the dimension is 2 because on the plane, any point can be expressed in terms of the vectors I and J. So you have the dimension of the real plane to be R2, real plane to be 2, and dimension of the three-dimensional space to be 3. Now, if A is a 2 by 2 matrix and X is a 2 by 1 column matrix, then AX is a 2 by 1 column vector. What does this mean? A 2 by 2 matrix can transform points on the plane to points on the plane. Similarly, a 3 by 3 matrix can transform points in the three-dimensional space to points in the three-dimensional space. So, multiplication with a 2 by 2 matrix causing the effect changing points in a plane to points in the plane. Multiplication with a 3 by 3 matrix causes transformation of points in three-dimensional space to three-dimensional space. Or matrices can be thought of as functions. Any point in the plane can be represented in terms of I and J. So I is 1, 0 and J is 0, 1. Suppose we want to understand geometrical effect of a 2 by 2 matrix, we will try to find the matrix product with the corresponding column matrices of these two unit vectors. So what actually the matrix does is studied by studying the effect of the matrix multiplication on the vectors 1, 0 and 0, 1. So how these two basis vectors are transformed, that will tell you the real story or the actual effect of the matrix multiplication. So matrix multiplied to the 0 column vector produces the 0 column vector itself. It means the origin is unaltered by the multiplication with the matrix. Now let us consider different examples. Consider the matrix 0, 1, 1, 0. Clearly, A multiplied to 0, 0 vector, that is the origin, will give you origin itself. A multiplied to 1, 0. 1, 0 is I. So, A into 1, 0 is equal to 0, 1, 1, 0 times 1, 0. And using matrix multiplication, you get the output to be 0, 1. And J is multiplied. So A multiplied to J 0, 1 will be 0, 1, 1, 0 times J, that is 0, 1 equal to 1, 0. And A multiplied to 1, 1, that will be 1, 1. So why I am taking these 4 points? I am taking the rectangle or square on the first quadrant. Origin 1 0, 1 1 and 0 1. So you get a unit square in the first quadrant. The 4 corner points are 0 0, 1 0, 0 1 and 1 1. So the unit square gets transformed to what? That we study using this matrix. Let us find the matrix product of A with the column vector x5. A multiplied to the column vector x5, that is 0 1 1 0 into x5 equal to yx. So what does this mean? The point xy transforms to the point yx. X-axis, that is 1 0, or the entire vector I and its multiples lie on the x-axis. That will be transformed to y-axis. Y-axis is transformed to x-axis. So what does it mean? It means the matrix 1 0 is 0 1 1 0 makes a reflection about the line y equal to x. Points on zeros points, see 0 0 is unaltered, 1 1 is unaltered. So you get what? Points on the line y equal to x is unaltered, but points on one side goes to the other side, points on this side will come to the other side. So the matrix will make a reflection about the line y equal to x. So the simple matrix is geometrically giving you reflection. Reflection about the line y equal to x. Now, this is what you get. Now consider the matrix minus 1 0 0 1. So you try yourself. What is minus 1 0 0 1 multiplied to xy? That will give you minus xy. So what you understand is the point xy has image minus xy. See, these 2 points xy and minus xy both have y coordinates equal, but x coordinates get a change in the sign. So what do you mean by x coordinate is getting a change in the sign? What is positive that becomes negative? What is negative that becomes positive? Or the points move from one side of y-axis to the other side of y-axis, and that's what you call reflection about the y-axis. So the matrix minus 1 0 0 1 causes a reflection about the y-axis. So the point xy converts to the point minus xy, and the corresponding matrix is minus 1 0 0 1. Reflection about the x-axis, you can check that the matrix is 1 0 0 minus 1. Why? Because 1 0 0 minus 1 acting on the vector xy will give you x minus 5. So x coordinates not changing, y coordinates get a negative sign. That means points will move from one side to the other side of the x-axis, and that is what reflection about the x-axis. So reflection about the origin. So what do you mean by reflection about the origin? From the point you move towards the origin, see what is the distance, make an equal distance move or continue the same movement with equal distance, you will reach a point. So from x5, if you start, first you reach origin and same distance you move continuously, you will reach the point minus x minus 5. The corresponding matrix is minus 1 0 0 minus 1. So that will give you a reflection about the origin. So the matrix minus 1 0 0 minus 1 geometrically represents reflection about the origin. So what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to make you convince is 2 by 2 matrices are doing this geometrical work. Now rotation through 90-degree anti-clockwise. So I'll just ask you to imagine something. So you just see what is the image you get when I move this cursor. So you get a simple triangle. The triangle has got one side along the x-axis and one smaller side along the y-axis, and there is a hypotenuse to that triangle. So when you make a rotation through 90-degree anti-clockwise, the side along the x-axis will come to a portion of the y-axis, and the side which is parallel to the y-axis will become parallel to x-axis, and the hypotenuse will be another line, and here also that's the hypotenuse. And because you are turning this triangle through 90-degree, the lengths are not changing. So if this point is having an x-coordinate, the same will be the y-coordinate of the image. And what is the y-coordinate of the image of the point? Negative of that will be y-coordinate of the image. So tell me, what will be the image of xy under this rotation through 90-degree anti-clockwise? Xy will be converted to minus by x. Xy will be converted to minus by x. So let us see what happens. This transforms a vector xy into minus by x. The corresponding matrix is 0 minus 1 1 0, as you can check. 0 minus 1 1 0 times the matrix xy equal to minus by x. So now you try what will be a rotation through 90-degree clockwise. You do it as a homework, and rotation through an angle phi anti-clockwise. The corresponding matrix will be cos phi minus sin phi cos phi, and this transforms the vector xy into x cos phi minus y sin phi, x sin phi plus y cos phi. Transformations of these types, that means we have seen many matrices and actually what they do geometrically. So transformations of these types are generally called linear transformations. So this is the pictorial representation of the rotation through angle phi. Or if a equal to cos phi minus sin phi cos phi, then can you guess what is a square, a cube, etc., a raised to n, etc. A acting once means you make a rotation through phi anti-clockwise. So when A acts 2 times, you should make 2 times rotation. That means the total angle that you have turned will be 2 phi. So the corresponding matrix will be cos 2 phi minus sin 2 phi sin 2 phi cos 2 phi. A cube will be cos 3 phi minus sin 3 phi sin 3 phi cos 3 phi, and you can have a raised to n also. In the same manner, instead of 2 you will have n. Now consider the matrix 1 3 0 1. This is an upper triangular matrix. What is an upper triangular matrix? All elements below the main diagonal will be 0. That is upper triangular matrix. So this will be a linear transformation from R2 to R2. Let us see what this matrix will do on the unit square. The unit square is transformed to such a parallelogram. The unit square will be transformed to such a parallelogram. You call this to be a shear transformation. So you just imagine you have pasted your photograph here and this matrix is applied. So your deformed photograph will be obtained in this shaded area. Okay, so if your photograph is pasted here, after applying this matrix, you will get your photograph deformed, and that will be inside this area. So let us see an example. Imagine this is a sheep. If you apply this matrix, you get the sheared sheep. So instead of the sheep, if you fix your photograph, you will get a sheared you. Okay. Shearing is a horizontal process if the matrix is upper triangular. Now, in the case of the sheep, the matrix 1301, that was making a shear towards the right, and so you call a right shear. Shear can be towards the left also. Now, how do you understand the matrix will make a right shearing or left shearing? And for that, you need to know what is the determinant. If determinant is positive, you will get shearing towards one side, and determinant is negative, you will get shearing towards the other side. You try to find out which type of determinant, positive or negative, will make the positive or left or right shearing. Okay, with different examples. And shearing can be vertical also. And for that, a lower triangular matrix must be used. And the shearing can be towards the upper side or towards the lower side. And there also the determinant plays the role. If the determinant is positive, you will get shearing towards one side, and determinant is negative, you will get shearing towards the other side. So determinant has got certain role in the geometrical task. So a 2 by 2 matrix is a function from R2 to R2. Similarly, a 3 by 3 matrix is a function from R3 to R3. By properties of matrix addition and matrix multiplication, these two functions are linear functions. What do you mean by linear functions? Linear functions are having the property image of sum equal to sum of images, and image of a scalar multiple is scalar multiple of the image. We will formally write it soon. 2 by 2 matrix is a function from R2 into R2, and 3 by 3 matrix is a function from R3 into R3. A linear function maps straight lines to straight lines. In other words, the image of a straight line is a straight line. So that's why the word linear comes. So the geometrical word linear, geometrical term linear is used because of this property. If A is an n by n matrix, then A is a function from Rn to Rn. It's a function. A is called a linear operator because the set is Rn and the other set also is Rn. If A is an m by n matrix and X is an n by 1 matrix, you know the rules on the order of matrices when you find the product. So A is m by n matrix, then A will be Rn to Rn, a mapping from or function from Rn to Rn. It's a function. You call that to be a linear transformation. So if the two vector spaces are different, the usual terminology is linear transformation, and if the two vector spaces are same, the terminology is an operator. So operator means linear function from the vector space to same vector space. Transformation means linear function from a vector space to another vector space. Now you define what is a linear transformation. Let X be a vector space over the field F. A function t from x to x is a linear transformation if t of alpha x plus beta y equal to alpha tx plus beta ty for all x by element of x and all alpha beta element of f. We can understand the type of transformation when a matrix is given, so that we have seen it with different examples. So is it possible to find the matrix corresponding to a given linear transmission? So that is the other question. If you have a linear transmission, do you have a corresponding matrix? Why we are asking such a question? Because we have the other experience. If there is a matrix, you know that matrix is a transformation, linear transmission. So naturally, we will expect linear transmissions can produce matrices. How to get it? The process is very simple. Consider the linear transmission T from R2 to R2. So you just take an example. T x1 x2 equal to 2 x1 minus x2 x1 plus 3x2. Here see x1 and x2 are the first and second coordinates. Here in the image the first coordinate is 2x1 minus x2, second coordinate is x1 plus 3x2. Now here we can check easily that this is a linear transmission. So that part is, I am just giving you the hint only, and the details you have to work out. So it's easy to check that T is a linear transmission if x equal to x1 x2 and y equal to y1 y2. So now you would have understood why I wrote x1 x2 to represent a point. X is equal to x1 x2, y equal to y1 y2. So I didn't write that point to be a pair x y. Why? Because I wanted x and y to be two vectors in R2. So the vector x has the first coordinate, second coordinate. Vector y has the first coordinate, second coordinate. So if x and y are these two points or vectors in R2, x plus y will be x1 plus y1, x2 plus y2. So you try to find out Tx, Ty, alpha x, beta y, T of alpha x plus beta y, and alpha Tx plus beta dy, and complete the checking whether this condition, that is T of alpha x plus beta y equal to alpha Tx plus beta ty is satisfied or not. So you can check it very easily, but you should check it carefully, and you can check. Once you make the check, you understand T is a linear transmission. Now the next task is, what is the corresponding matrix? So once you know T is a linear transmission, you should understand what is the corresponding matrix. For that, initially I have given a clue. You should make the images of the basis vectors. So the basis vectors are 1, 0 and 0, 1. So in the places of x1, x2, you put 1, 0. In the places of x1, x2 later you put 0, 1. So T of 1, 0 equal to the point 2, 1. T of 0, 1 is minus 1, 3. These two are points. So these two are column vectors. So write the column vectors side by side. First basis vector, its image is a column vector 2, 1. Second basis vector 0, 1, its image is another column vector minus 1, 3. Write it. So you get a matrix, and that matrix will be the matrix corresponding to the linear transmission. So I have told it very clear. If a linear transmission is given, you write or find the images of the basis vectors to get corresponding column vectors. These column vectors are written side by side to form a matrix, and that matrix will be the matrix corresponding to the linear transmission. By this method, matrix corresponding to any linear transmission from Rn to Rm can be found as an m by n matrix. So that also is not very difficult to understand. Now, we know what are determinants. Let us try to find out geometrical meaning of determinants of order 2 and 3. We know the determinant ABCD is AD minus BC. Consider the rectangle with vertices 0, 0, A0, AB and 0B. So 0, 0, A0, 0B and AB it is. Here it is marked D. Forget it. It's B. So what is the area of this rectangle? Base into height. Okay. So that will be AB. And here the determinant of this matrix will be AB. Determinant of this matrix will be AB. So naturally you should expect if there are 2 points. See, I have taken origin joining to the point A0, origin joining to the point 0B as 2 vectors. So 2 vectors can make a rectangle. 2 perpendicular vectors can make a rectangle. And if the 2 vectors are not perpendicular, you will get a parallelogram. Okay. So first vector, second vector, the parallelogram you will have. With the previous experience, you should get the area of the parallelogram to be the value of the determinant, and we will see whether you are getting that or not. If we consider a parallelogram OACB, so I have not marked the points, I mean this to be the point A, this to be the point C, this to be the point B, and O is the origin. O 0 0, A is the point AB, U represents the O vector OA as before. A similar figure we have discussed earlier. So OA, and B, OB is the second side of the parallelogram, and C, the fourth vertex C is A plus C, B plus D, and that you get by the vector addition. Now, area of the parallelogram is known as the magnitude of the cross product of the vectors U and V. What is U actually now? U is the vector corresponding to the point A. So you can write U to be AI plus BJ, and V is CI plus DJ. So U cross V will be, you find it, cross product of AI plus BJ and CI plus DJ. That you will get as AD minus BC into vector K. Then you know I cross J is K. So you get it. And its magnitude is AD minus BC, and that is a determinant. So you get a geometrical meaning for the determinant. And if you take the cuboid, earlier you took the rectangle with one side along the x-axis, the other side along the y-axis. Now you are taking cuboid, and the edges are of lengths ABC. If edges are of lengths ABC, the vertices can be A00, 0B0, and 00C. Clearly, the volume of the cuboid will be ABC. Volume of the cuboid will be ABC, and that will be the determinant written using these points as column vectors. So A00, 0B0, 00C. That will give you the volume of the cuboid, and determinant of that will give you the volume of the cuboid. A similar thing you can find in the case of any three vectors. Or you get a parallel, you get an object called parallelepiped, you get the determinant to be the scalar triple product ABC. Linear algebra is now getting familiar to you, because in linear algebra we are studying matrices, equations, linear equations, determinants, etc. in a geometrical point of view. I hope I have just shown you what is the way you have to think to study linear algebra. Always you should have the geometrical concept, what happens in R2 and what happens in R3. When whatever statement you find in the theory of linear algebra, connect it, try to connect it with R2 and R3. then you get the linear algebra to be a very simple branch of mathematics, and I wish you all success. Thank you.